everyone, I'm Hexate and I'm about to interview Aparna Shenoy, who's a compensation manager. When I first found out about this job, I have no clue what it is, so I'm actually really excited to start asking questions. Aparna Shenoy lives in Texas, so we will be doing this interview through Zoom. I really hope you guys enjoy, and I'm super excited to start asking questions. So, let's go.
Great. Thank you so much for sitting down and having this interview with me. To start off, can you tell us what someone who is a compensation manager, what they do?
Compensation managers direct an organization's pay structure. They monitor, the market conditions and government regulations, which are ever changing. And, they come up with a good solution for the company that keeps them current and competitive in the marketplace with their peers and.
Can you tell me about tell me a bit about how you ended up in this path as a compensation manager? What was your educational path? What was your professional path?
So I actually happened to start in compensation by chance. My background is finance. I have a accounting degree, bachelor's degree, and then a master's in finance. And because compensation, even though it's part of HR, it needs a lot of finance and mathematical elements. So that helped me get into that first role. And then I just liked it. And the career path for it is, you start usually at an analyst level, and then, you can progress as much as you want. Even in bigger companies, you can go to the VP or, CHRO level.
So, what in your educational and professional background really helped prepare you for this kind of work?
So, as I mentioned, compensation, it deals a lot with finance and mathematics. So the financial degree and background definitely helped. The other part, it's more of because it's people's pay, you have to make sure accuracy is always there. So being detail oriented and organizational, so that helped also.
So you mentioned that you kind of came across this by chance, but why did you choose to kind of work in this career?
Because once I got into it, I really liked it because, if you're in finance, it's a little bit dry. You don't deal with people as much. And with the compensation being part of HR, it is really, I like the part where I have to work with the employees and department heads. And so I like that part of it where it still has the finance and mathematical elements, but also this personal touch.
Yeah, you're answering questions I have going forward. But in your job, what does a normal day kind of look like?
To be honest, there is no normal day. So, it has a lot to work with policies and, taking into consideration what the departments are looking at. We look at turnover, see how it's affecting us and how we can be competitive, in the marketplace, especially right now. We had the great resignation period. So that really affects us as an HR team. And so we have to come up with ways of how can we curtail that turnover and make sure people want to stay with us. How do we make it enticing? And sometimes it's compensation, and sometimes it's other things, benefits or a growth, career path for them. Um, Bonuses, spot bonuses. What is it that will work? So that's kind of like an everyday thing nowadays with unfortunately the turnover that we have going on.
Yeah. So then what does a really bad day look like compared to a really good day?
A really bad day is, yes, when the days that we have a lot of people, resigning, which happens right after bonus is paid. And so those are a few bad days. So when we have to really come up with strategies to see, how we can better counter people when they need to, they have found another job that is paying them better, but they still want to stay with us, then how to counter that.
And then a good day?
A good day is when our financial results are great and when we get to give out those great bonuses and make people happy.
That's nice. So when you're hiring someone kind of for this job, are they looking for like specific knowledge or like personality traits, or is it more of like a combination?
I think, for me, if I hire someone, I feel like they need to be customer focused because I say customer, it's our employees, for HR is the employees. At the end of the day, we want to keep our employees happy so they don't leave us. So being customer focused, always putting them first, making sure we answer all their questions. Um, from a work perspective, I think being I have mentioned this detailed and few errors because here we are calculating people's bonuses and long-term incentive plans, and we want to make sure we calculate it correctly so that they feel happy with what they're getting. And then just generally being able to adapt to changes as you go.
Yeah, so this is, you kind of answered the next question, but what kind of makes someone like really good at this job, like really successful?
um that's what I mean, adapting. I mean, every day is different. You could have a time period when there are people, the market's low and you're doing well, and then suddenly market heats up, and how do you try to figure out the policies that need to be changed, keeping in mind the philosophy of the company of how we want to pay, how we want to budget, keeping all that in mind. That's where it's at a lot of times.
Yeah, so who is that? So other than your employees, who are your customers, who are you like kind of working with to get the job done?
A lot of the times it's internal HR because I do compensation and it's only one part of HR. But then there's the business partners who work on a day-to-day basis with the departments, for hiring or terminations or other things, right? And then there's recruiting, which needs to give out offers. So they come to a compensation saying, what do you think a good offer is for this role, this person's a level of experience, making sure internally we are equitable, externally we are competitive. So doing that, working with learning and development about what the career ladders need to be for people. So a lot of internal HR, and then externally, of course, with the department heads, seeing where they need help with any pay structure changes for their departments, any specialized premiums for location or whatever that might be. So working with all levels of the organization.
Yeah. And so then last question, what advice would you give to a high schooler or a college student who's interested in this kind of career?
Well, one is get a degree in either human resources, business, or finance related. Finance actually is better just because a lot of times, even though compensation is HR, they look for a finance degree. So and then be diligent about accuracy and being very detail oriented, and then have an interest in reading and learning more about government regulations or what the market is doing, because it's ever changing, and depending on which industry you're in, it can be different. So and compensation can go across industries, so it's good to have yourself a step ahead in everything.
Yeah, so that concludes all my questions. Thank you so much for answering them.
You're welcome, Mehak. Thanks for interviewing me and learning more about my profession.
Yeah, of course.